see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying how you do. They really saying I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They learn much more than I'll ever know, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying how you do. They're really saying I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
I guess just this one was off. Testing, 1, 2, testing.
Right, can you hear me now? Woo! Isn't this the best way to start a celebration of life? Isn't life messy? Yeah, it surely is. And I'm just knowing that Bill is laughing at us right now. I know that without a shadow of a doubt. Now I'm really loud. Dina's going to take care of that, or I'll have to talk very low, and that's not my nature. So, we are here today, all of us, to celebrate a life well lived. Wow. Yes, yes. Give a hand. And we are gathered right in this room where Bill gathered for years and years on Sunday mornings. And I don't know if any of you noticed the John Deere sitting outside the door. That is his legacy. Bill mowed the lawn here for years, and he kept, every time the lawnmower would break, he would buy the new one. And that is the latest version that's sitting outside the door. And this is not at all in my script, but I want to share with you that the day came when Bill no longer was able to mow the lawn. And that was a hard thing for him to let go of. Up until that time, I would say to him, Bill, if you're going to go down and mow the lawn, you need to text me when you're going, and you need to text me when you're leaving, so I know that everything is okay. So Bill served this community for years in so many different ways. And I am so blessed and honored to be here today to share his life with you, and you all share what your life with Bill was like. So together we've come together in a spirit of reverence with hearts filled with love to honor and celebrate Bill's beautiful lived life. So may our time here together be of reflection, remembrance, and deep, deep gratitude for all that he shared with us. And so I'm going to invite you at this moment to join me in prayer. So divine love, we honor your presence among us and within us, embracing the love and strength you pour into our hearts as we say farewell to Bill's physical presence. He is cherished beyond words, and his spirit remains ever bright in our hearts. In our deep connection with you, we recognize the eternal bond we share, one that transcends time and space. In spirit, there is no separation. And in this sacred knowing, we find the peace and the comfort of knowing that Bill is right here, right now, with us. And so with steadfast faith, we say, Amen and Amen. Yes. And there is nothing. And bring her right back in here. Hey, whoa. You come right back in. She can talk. She can talk. This is the original blessing. See, look at that little face. That is an original blessing. So let her, hi, yes. Let her have fun. So there is nothing more sacred than honoring the journey of a well-lived life. And Bill's journey through 102 remarkable years was a testament to vitality, wisdom, and grace. And even in these last months, he was surrounded by unwavering love. And that is because of his family. And so to his family, I say, your kindness, your devotion, and your gentle care have been a profound gift, touching all of our hearts. Touching all of our hearts. Watching how you were there right to the end with him. So through every moment, you have embodied the strength of connection, reminding us that love transcends time, space, and circumstance. So let us pause right now in gratitude for the compassion and dedication you have shared so generously. Your love for Bill will forever echo in the lives he touched. Blessings to you.
So a couple of years ago, Bill gave me this piece of sheet music, and he said, I want you to play this at my memorial. And apparently his whole family knew about it too, because that was the first thing he said, you're going to do the music. And so I don't know if there's a story behind it or if there's a particular. Yeah, do you want to tell anybody any? Okay. Okay. So this is the theme song from the movie Forrest Gump.
Thank you, Dina. A celebration of life is a sacred space for love, peace, forgiveness, remembrance, and release. So together, today, we gather to honor and cherish the life Bill shared with us on this earthly plane. A life so radiant, so deeply meaningful, that it now unfolds in its eternal form, continuing beyond what we can see. Few journeys are as profound as that of a life fully lived. And in the love Bill gave, in the memories he leaves behind, his spirit remains ever present. So now, as we hold that love in our hearts, we open the space for his son to share his words. Ariel, that is you, right there, right there. And you can, and you can do this. Put your foot right here. Okay, you got it?
He would always do the da da da. No, he would vocalize it as he did it. So I'm like hearing him do it as she does it. Beautiful. He still was playing for us recently. And I also say how encouraged I am at how good looking everyone is, even after I haven't seen you for a while. So, 102. What's that? I'm Avrio. Avrio. Oldest son. Oldest son. We got 6 of us. The name will come up again. This is prepared. So we're gathered here today to celebrate the extraordinary life of William Fry Taylor, a devoted father, compassionate healer, adventurous sailor, talented musician, champion athlete, and above all, a man defined by his generosity and unwavering dedication to others. Born in 1922 on the rugged coast of Falmouth, Maine, Bill was the eldest of three brothers, Howard and Neil, and the proud son of one of Maine's pioneering female authors. From a young age, he absorbed the rhythms of music, a deep empathy for people, and a powerful sense of duty. These values would become the foundation of a remarkable life. Bill chose a life of service. As a small-town doctor, his patients were never just names on a chart. They were neighbors and friends and companions on life's journey. Whether delivering babies or sitting bedside through long nights, he practiced medicine with humility and heart. Long after house calls became a thing of the past, Bill kept making them because, to him, this is what true care looked like. Before his career in medicine, Bill served his country as a Navy officer. One of the most defining experiences of his was witnessing the detonation of the first hydrogen bomb. It was a moment of awe-inspiring power, but rather than hardening him, it deepened his resolve. It strengthened his belief in kindness, compassion, and the essential goodness of humanity. Together with his beloved wife, Barbara, Bill raised 6 remarkable children: Avrio, Nancy, Martha, Sarah, Peter, and Ruth. When Barbara passed too soon, Bill's love and steady presence became a guiding light. His children grew into kind, capable, and resilient adults, shaped by his wisdom and grounded by his favorite piece of advice: keep moving. He meant it in every sense. Care for your body, yes, but also keep learning, keep growing, keep giving, never stagnate, never give up. In the later chapters of his life, with his second beloved partner, Maggie, Bill embraced new adventures, including becoming a world champion in windsurfing. Whether on land or sea, Bill brought to every pursuit a boundless energy, a sharp curiosity, and a big heart. In his later years at the Highlands in Topsham, Maine, Bill remained deeply engaged with his community. He was a cherished member of the Unity Center for Spiritual Growth, where he found spiritual nourishment and gave back through music, playing drums and singing with the choir. He looked forward to Pat's weekly messages and formed lasting friendships that enriched his days. Bill lived not just for others, but with others. For many years, he shared the story of his Uncle Lowell's funeral, where, as he loved to recall, everyone was smiling. That's what he would want today, for us to remember him with joy, with gratitude, and with stories that make us smile. So as we say goodbye, I invite you to honor his legacy in a most fitting way. Perform an unexpected act of kindness today. Then do it again tomorrow, and once more the next day. In doing so, we carry forward the spirit of a man who made the world more generous, more gentle, and more joyful. And as Bill always said, keep moving. Bless you all.
Thank you. Ah, thank you so much. Yes, Bill's motto was keep moving, stay curious, and be grateful. Absolutely, you know. So as we gather today, our hearts hold a range of emotions. Some of us feel the weight of loss, missing Bill's warm presence as a cherished friend and loved one. Others carry a quiet peace, knowing he has been released from the constraints of the physical world, free to journey beyond. And some are here in deep respect, honoring the remarkable life Bill lived, the love he shared, the kindness he embodied, and the spirit that touched so many. No matter where we find ourselves in our emotions, whether in grief, gratitude, or reverence, we stand together in celebration of his life, united in love and remembrance. And now I'm going to ask Martha to come up and share. Let somebody know.
This is a poem called Family by Glenda Campbell. There's a special kind of closeness that only families know that begins with childhood trust and deepens as you grow. There's a special kind of happiness in sharing little things, the laughter, smiles, and quiet talks that daily living brings. To love and understand you, to listen and to care, of all the treasures life may bring, your family means the most, and whether near or far apart, that love will hold you close.
Beautiful. Yes. Bill's physical presence is no longer here. No casket, no earthly vessel that once carried his spirit. Yet what remains are the ashes of his form, lovingly released as a reminder that his essence was never confined to the physical. His spirit endures beyond time and space, unbound by the limitations of the body. He is free, carried now in love, memory, and the eternal realm of spirit. Throughout his life, Bill honored his body as a sacred vessel, using it to serve with grace, kindness, and the fullest expression of his understanding. His journey was rich with meaningful experiences, each shaping the beautiful legacy he leaves behind. And now he has released this earthly form, yet his work, his love, and his essence continues, expanding into the boundless embrace of universal life. And now I'm going to ask Ruth to come up and share. You're going to go right over there, and there's your script.
So this is the daily devotion.
Daily
of
word.
The daily word of the day that he passed, which says, into God's care and keeping I commend my spirit. Although the Gospels don't describe what Jesus experienced between the time of his death and the moment of his resurrection, I can know that wherever he was, whatever he was doing, Jesus was never separated from God. Like every person who has ever lived or will live, Jesus was a living expression of God. This is a sacred bond that nothing, not even death, can destroy. Luke's Gospel tells me that with his final words, Jesus commended his spirits to God's care. I follow Jesus' example. I deepen my awareness of the divine presence that has always been with me and will remain with me through every experience of eternal life. I trust completely, as Jesus did, that I will always be safe in God. Then Jesus, crying with a loud voice, said, Father, into your hands I commend my spirit. Having said this, he breathed his last. Luke 23:46.
And that was the morning of Bill's passing. How appropriate was that, huh? Wow. Few experiences in life bring us to our knees more profoundly than the moment of letting go, releasing the physical presence of someone we truly love. And in the depth of that release, we encounter both sorrow and mystery, grief and grace, longing and remembrance. Jesus, when he was teaching, offered a glimpse into the vastness of existence. In my Father's house, there are many mansions. Now I want you to use your power of imagination and imagine standing in ancient times, more than 2,000 years ago, hearing Jesus' words in Aramaic. His words carried forward, translated into Greek, and brought down to us over centuries. And in today's language, those words could be understood as, in the universe's house, there are many dimensions, many levels of existence. And Bill no longer resides in this earthly form, yet his journey continues in the Father's heavenly house, a realm beyond what we can see, yet undeniably present in spirit. And moments like these awaken us to the vast mystery of life, revealing how little we truly grasp of the divine order, the unfolding journey of the soul. And perhaps death, the passage from one dimension to another, is the least understood of all human experiences. In Aramaic, the word Jesus spoke for death translates literally, not here, present elsewhere. Not here, present elsewhere. Bill is not gone. He is simply present elsewhere, carried into the infinite expanse of love and life beyond this world. Bill touched the lives of every one of us gathered here today, leaving an imprint that will never fade. One of the most meaningful ways that we can honor his life is by sharing from our hearts, reflecting on how knowing him shaped and transformed us. So I'm going to offer you the opportunity to share a story or a thought that you have about Bill openly, to celebrate the impact of his kindness, his wisdom, and presence in your life. So if you have a story that you would like to share, I'm going to invite you to come up and share that story with us. And don't be shy. I know every one of you have a story. Michael, I'll bring the microphone to you, dear.
My name's Michael, and I stood next to Bill in the choir for many years. We both had several partners, and they all passed. And when the first partner passed, I went to him and I said, "Is there anything I can do for you?" And he said, "Be my friend." So anyway, a couple of years later, my partner passed away. And he came over to me and said, "Is there anything I can do for you, Michael?" And I said, "Bill, just be my friend." And years of friendship ensued. We drank coffee together. We worked out in the yard together until I became sick. And he was always there with a smile on his face, never putting myself in a position of feeling sorry for myself, but the fact that I had friendship in my life, which was so important.
Thank you. Jack, I'll bring the mic to you. Maybe I'll just bring the mic to everybody.
Well, when I first started coming to Unity, one of the first things I did, I'd see Bill around, but we didn't get really acquainted. I met his wife, Maggie. She was the first teacher of prayer partners, or prayer chaplains, as they were called back then. And later, the time I really got to know Bill was when I had a very serious health challenge. Many of the people in this community would come and visit me when I was in the hospital or in rehab, but Bill was probably the most present in that he was there almost every other day. And he'd talk with me, he'd pray and encourage. Then later when I was back in church, he would come over and we'd pray for people he cared about, whether they were family members or community. Then we had this issue a few years ago with COVID, and we couldn't meet here. So Michael and I and a couple other friends drove to Topsom to spend some time with him. We weren't allowed in the Highlands, but he'd come out and we'd sit in a picnic bench and we'd spend maybe an hour or so talking. And since then, it's just been such a warm friendship.
I met Bill several years. Oh, I don't want people to hear me. I probably don't. My name's Kathleen. I met Bill several years ago. I went to the Dominican Republic to do my public community health nursing, and I met him and Maggie there. They went several times, and I went several times. And through the years, I've kept in touch with him, stopped at the lake. My neighbor and I ride motorcycles together, so I think it was last year we went to visit him at the Highlands, and Jan said, "Do you want to ride on the motorcycle?" No, I better not. So he walked out the parking lot to look at our bikes, and he was too tired to walk back, so he climbed on her bike, and we have a picture of it, but.
I saw another hand over here.
My name is Pam Merritt. Dr. Taylor was our family doctor, and we had 7 children in our family, and the Taylors had 6. So pretty much all of us corresponded to somebody in the family. But he was also a really, really close friend of my dad's. And my father had been a fighter pilot in World War II. He would have turned 100 this year, so just a little bit younger. And he had spent almost 14 years at the Veterans Home in Scarborough. So they hadn't seen each other. But I didn't realize until I was listening to the song, and I'm not sure why it was the song playing, that like all in this all-encompassing knowledge of what it was that Bill did for my dad. He was so present. He was so present always that for 14 years, my father talked about him every time I saw him. And he didn't need to see him. He didn't need to have that connection was just there. It was real. It was always, he was probably one of the last people that he spoke about. And to me, even having him like as a child, it's that sense of he was just so fully present that even not being there for years and years, he was still present. So I just thank you guys. Thank you for sharing him with so many people, because you guys shared him with all of us.
Yes. Anybody else? Oh, yes. Peter, you want to stand up?
I'm very emotional, so this happens a lot. He did some. I'm Peter. I'm his son. Sorry. And when he was in Florida, he worked at a soup kitchen, and he would call me and be like, "Well, I got this, and this. What can I make for the people?" And he would come up with something, and he would feed them all the time. And then when he moved back up here, he started going to, I think it's called Preble Street. And he would wash dishes. He would tell me he would come home just soaked. He would just but he's in there in his 90s just digging into the pots and pans and helping people. And I'm so blessed that I have such a great dad and all these people that love him and care for him. Thank you for being here.
Bill certainly was the epitome of service. And I had a conversation recently with somebody that used to go to the Preble Street with him, and that was his favorite thing, is to do those pots and pans. And he would be, as you said, Peter, I mean, water would be spraying everywhere, but he would be in his glory. Yes, yes. And just to the FYI, the reason I'm asking you to hold this close is because we're live streaming this.
Oh dear. Hi, I'm Betsy Taylor, and he was my Uncle Bill. So many stories, but I just will mention a couple of things. We had 14 cousins, so there were the 6 Bill's kids. My dad was his youngest brother, 4 kids, and his middle brother had 4. Do I have that right, Scylla? And we would get together in the summers up in Waterboro, and he always was the one making everything fun. I can remember from whether it was putting up huge sheets so we could watch the eclipse without hurting our eyes, or putting all these mattresses up so that we could jump out of the second floor of the barn and just, or, let's go down and let's race across the lake. Who can do it? I'll be right with you in the boat. He was just so much fun. And then later in my life, when my own father was close to death and we were struggling with some decisions, in the end, I had to turn to him to say, what do we do? Because there were doctors who were in disagreement, and he completely came through. And he was just one of those guys that, you loved absolutely, because he was just so good and so kind. And at the very end, I talked to him a couple weeks before he died, and he told me, well, he posted on Facebook, I went into hospice, but I'm still curious. So we were actually talking about death. And also about his parents, and he said, this is either going to be nothing, or it's going to be the most amazing journey I've ever had, and I think it's going to be that. So anyway, he was ready, and thank you, Uncle Bill. You were absolutely incredible. You still are.
Thank you. Yes. I remember when he was in New England rehab back in January, I think it was. And I went to visit him, and he was laying in bed with his eyes closed, and I didn't know if he was sleeping or not. And I said, Bill? And he jumped up, sat on the edge of the bed, and welcomed me like I had been the lost daughter. I mean, it was so amazing. So then he gets in his wheelchair, and we go down to a place where we can sit and talk. And I'm sitting down, and I've got my legs open, and he's got his walker the rollator right up between and we are just like this. I mean, it was so amazing. And everybody has mentioned how present he was. Always. You were the only thing that was going on in his life when you were in front of him. Other hands. Yeah, Ingrid.
Was your name Pete? Yeah. When Pete shared, I wasn't going to share, but when Pete shared, I had to get up here because I used to work in the kitchen, and your dad was one of my volunteers. So he made the coffee, and in the end, he was starting to make it a little funky some days, but we just kind of let him, we'd go, right, no, that's good. We'd go behind him and take the grinds out or whatever, but he was you couldn't tell him not to help. But my favorite thing was his fiddlehead pie. Every potluck at Spring, we had to have fiddlehead pie. And his elderberry syrup. Well, I haven't been here for a really long time. And right when Spring would hit, I'd get a phone call from a number. I didn't have him in my phone that I didn't recognize. And it was your dad saying, I left you some some elderberry syrup in the kitchen. And if I didn't go pick it up, it would come in the mail in this box with his sweet handwriting. I mean, it wasn't, right. Well, he was a doctor, but anyway, so he would mail me my elderberry syrup if I didn't get my butt up here and pick it up. So he was a great guy. Oh, there was a lot of tape. It took a minute to get in, yeah.
So Ingrid, there are some outside on the tape. Go grab one right now. Who else has a story you'd like to share? Right over here, yes.
Hi, I'm Scylla Taylor. I'm Howard Taylor's firstborn, and the next in the generations. This is making me worried a little bit. But Bill was always somewhere in my life, and never more so. I mean, he loved everything. He had this sense of awe in looking at whatever was around him. And I'm sitting in the kitchen cleaning one day, and I hear this voice come out over the radio. I was listening to NPR, and they were talking about sounds that made your life fulfilled. And I'm listening. I said, oh my God, that's Uncle Bill. And he's talking about the first sounds of spring, the spring peepers, and how wonderful that sound was. And I cannot go anywhere as a person who ran nature centers to take people out and hear these spring peepers every spring. It is what makes me think of him every spring. There are other stories for every other season. He was a good man. And Betsy shared a lot of what I was going to say, the eclipse and the plays in the barn. Yes, he was an amazing man and served as a model for all of us.
Yes, thank you. Anybody else?
My name is Ellen, and I grew up with Ruthie, and Dr. Taylor was my family doctor, and I feel teary, and I didn't expect to say a word, but I would say, as a young girl growing up, he was our physician, and he took care of everybody in the neighborhood. I actually lived up the street on Chester Avenue, next door to this one, it turns out. We just figured that out. But I think what I'd share is there was a time when I got sick, and I didn't know what was happening to me, and I was very scared, and he was wonderful. He just made me feel safe and cared for and okay. And I have told this story, Ruthie, over my lifetime. I've never told you. But what a doctor, what a man to treat a young girl the way he did, who was confused and frightened and, you know, just safe in his care. So I just wanted to offer that perspective.
Hi, my name is Myra Cram. Lived in the neighborhood, and I got earaches as a kid, and he would make house calls, now that I'm thinking about it, which is kind of unusual. And he had the office right, you know, back to me. So I got the call, my mother got the call that the vaccine for polio was available, and I got sent across the backyard over to the office to get the shot, which hurt a long time. But I was glad to get it, so.
Yeah, Pat.
You know, I just have to mention fiddlehead soup. You knew it was spring when he brought in the fiddlehead soup, and it was so good. I had never tried it before, and I'm very grateful I had a chance to know Bill and meet her. But his signature was fiddlehead soup.
I'm Robert Powers, and I've known Bill for several years. I first got acquainted with the family when we bought some property from the Taylor family to build an elementary school in Waterboro. But in the last few years, I knew him mostly from his experience at Salmon Falls Country Club, where he and Maggie were members. And every year for the last several years, we've had a little get-together for him around his birthday. And I think it was in 2021 when Bill said to me at that little gathering, you know, I saw somewhere that there's going to be a total eclipse of the sun here in Maine on April, whatever it was, 2024. He said, boy, I hope I make it. And lo and behold, on the day of the eclipse, I got a telephone call from Bill saying, did you see it?
Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Stand up. Hi, everybody. I'm Laura Paul, and this is Emily, and we're sisters. And we grew up in the same neighborhood around the corner from the Taylors.
Because our dads were in practice together.
Right.
And we moved to Falmouth for our father to be in practice with Dr. Taylor.
Yeah. Anyway,
I was
and
five,
so
I remember.
there are 5 kids in our family. I'm the youngest and the same age as Nancy, and
I'm
Emily.
Mavrio's age.
Right, and then there's 3 older ones. Today, we were riding bicycles.
Yeah, see?
And we went through
So exciting, I crashed.
the old neighborhood.
We did. We looked
And
at your house.
we rode down Providence Avenue,
It's, it's a tiny street. And we went by your house. It looks a little different. It looks bigger. And we saw the path that connected Providence with Hartford, right. And anyway, I don't know what else to say. Just that we have lots of memories with the two families. And both families ended up moving from that neighborhood to the Foreside, and an eighth of a mile apart. And 3/10, okay. And, so Dr. Taylor, as a kid, you don't know the adults, but we've heard things over the years, and just, I don't know, such a joy to hear of all of his adventures and the windsurfing, and especially I tried to get into windsurfing, and our dad was quickly, yeah. And anyway, what a wonderful. The one other thing I want to say is that Dad worked at Preble Street, and I did not know that your dad worked at Preble Street. And I think they were there, maybe not at the same time, but our dad served food, and he would get up in church, and every once a month when he was going there, he would make a pitch for people to volunteer at the Preble Street. And towards the end of his life, he had Parkinson's, and at one point he went up to make the pitch, and he fell down on the way. And everybody in the church is like, ah. But, Dad that's just like your dad. He just kept living all the way through his life. And, yeah, their paths intersected, and it's pretty cool. So here we are. Hello, Taylors. Thank you, Taylors. We take Martha and Nancy to swim. Oh, right? Lots of stories.
I love it. What? Okay.
I'm John Taylor. I'm Howard Taylor's son, and this is my wife, Marcy. I remember in grade school where I met Marcy when she was in second grade. We would, you'd come off a summer vacation, you'd have to write, what did you did in your summer vacation? And I got to write every year. We went to Maine. We climbed Mount Katahdin. We went to Nason's Mills. We went up Mount Waterboro, if that was a mountain. But the influence of somebody like Bill, I think, on his siblings, my father and Neil, who would have been 100, and my dad had been 101. Right, and I think they were better because you knew Bill was that better person. I think of that with myself and my sister Scylla, and I think of Neil, who I got to know as a cousin over the years, and it's the last of a generation, and it's a tribute to the whole family. It's great to be here.
All right, hands keep going up. We gotta, this food, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna go back here first. I'm gonna go to Suzanne, then I'll be over here.
Well, I'm Suzanne Randall. I don't know why I should be surprised that there are people who are volunteers from Preble Street here. And when I first came to, when I think about Bill and his, service, and I think, he was probably there in the kitchen washing dishes while Leon Gorman was the grill master, because Leon absolutely loved to go there, and, he was the last member of the L.L. Bean family that actually served in the company. But I was a volunteer for Homeless Voices for Justice, and when I first came to Unity, Bill was one of the people that I met right away. And my goodness, I was met with a hug, and he was just so warm and so friendly. And, it didn't matter whether he, sang well in the chorus or not. We were just happy to have him there. And it's very interesting that I find out there are so many connections with Preble Street, and they just celebrated their 50th anniversary. And I don't know whether he was remembered there or not, but, I will now always remember that connection with him and understand better. Thanks.
Hi. Excuse me. My name is Priscilla Agari. and just a couple of years ago, we were on a Zoom call for Bill's birthday. And when he saw me and I said I was Priscilla, I think he wasn't sure if I was you or me. And then I found out he had a Priscilla in the family. So anyway, I knew Bill because we were lucky that he married our aunt, Maggie, who we called Aunt Bunny. And so I would always meet them when they were in Florida because my dad would live in Florida and they would travel back and forth. And so I had little children, like 3 in a row, and would take them to Florida every Christmas and sometimes on Thanksgiving, and we would make it so that we would all meet in the same place and get a chance to see each other. So I only saw them like maybe once in a year or every couple years. Once they came through Nashville, because I live in Nashville, Tennessee, and it's not a place that anybody usually travels through when they're going anywhere. So one time they came through and we had a nice little family experience with my little kids. But I never came up here until my aunt passed away. And before she passed away, I thought, if she doesn't pass away, I'm definitely going to go up there and visit. But then she did pass away, and I was like, oh, I have to go up there for the memorial, because I never met Bill's family, and she always talked about them like they were her children, because she didn't have any children of her own, but she really felt like she was their real mom, you know. And so I came up here and was so glad to meet them, and was able to come up a few times with some of my kids. And he always said, yeah, come on over, come on anytime. And we all stayed in that little tiny house. But he was always, just always such a joy. And it's so amazing to hear so many beautiful stories about his daily life and who he really was. Bunny and he, or Maggie and he, got to do, like, he would go to work on an Indian reservation, and she would go with him, and they went on cruise ships where he was a doctor. He got to be a doctor on a cruise ship, and she got to go along and windsurf in different places. So it just sounded like they had such an amazing time together, and I was really grateful for both of them to have that, and just so glad to hear of his daily life with everybody, and glad to see everybody. And this is my sister and my daughter, my eldest daughter.
Hi, my name is Jim Carl. I have to say something about the Waterboro House, only because it is what brings the family together, I think. And Bill loved the Waterboro House. And he would come, for years he would come on Saturdays when we were open and stay and chat with people as they came through and so forth. And later on, when he wasn't allowed to drive anymore, he said, Martha would bring him, and Bill would come, and he would always bring something for the house, something that he had saved from the house when it got sold. And if you want to see some essence of Bill, come to the Taylor Fry Levitt house, because he really built it. This was his family home, and as the cousins will all tell you, that was the place that everybody gathered. And it's just, I first met Bill through his mother. I knew Helen first because she joined the Waterboro Historical Society and then wanted somebody to mow the field, so I mowed the field, and then I looked, and the 3 brothers are out there playing golf. So I mowed the golf course for them. But anyway, he was a wonderful person, and he loved that Waterboro house.
My name is Gail, and Bill is also my Uncle Bill. Although I only came to know him fairly well in recent years, I lived away. He actually lived away because he was in Florida. But in these recent years, I want to speak to his spirit. The few times I was able to be near him, his spirit was just always there. It was amazing. The last time I was on an outing with Bill was in November. And it was 5 months before he passed. and we were going bowling. And I thought, oh, how is this going to work? But it was great. We went to the bowling alley. There he was. He had his walker thing and lifted up the ball, put it in the seat, rolled it over to the alley, picked up the ball again, and dropped it. And it rolled 2 miles an hour in a straight line, and he got some really good shots. And that was his spirit, and that was a great day. I don't know any scores, but it was fun, fun, fun. And that was Bill.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, I am Betty Lou. And here at Unity, we just started a tradition of singing happy birthday to people. And I know that it's Bill's birthday this month, and Nancy told me there's a lot of June birthdays. So one of the things that I get to do is I get to call each person and I get to sing happy birthday to them. And since this is a celebration of Bill's life, I was wondering if you'd all sing happy birthday to Bill with me, with Dina playing on the piano.
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Bill. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
And
All
that
right,
would
one
be
last one.
103 years, right?
Just making sure you guys can all hear me, so the mic has been like off and on. My name's Bill. I'm Bill's grandson, so I'm offering a little bit of a different perspective because most people in here are a little bit older than I am. I had to do the math. I came into the world when he was 65, and so it took me a few years to get going and be able to sort of process and everything. And so he had lived a full life before I even existed. And a lot of growing up was going to the lake house and Waterboro and like spending time with the family, seeing all of his stuff around, and learning about Bill, like, and the life he had had so far. And I remember him windsurfing, and he would be 70, 75, something like that. He's out on the water. He's got this heavy sail that he's pulling up, and he's got his life jacket on. He's cruising along. He's waving and smiling and having a good time. And I was like, he's so old. How is he doing this? And then as I got a little bit bigger, I got to be like 10 or so, I was like, okay, I'll give windsurfing a try. I couldn't lift that sail out of the water. It sucked. It was heavy. It was cumbersome. I was like, I don't know how he's doing this. And then time went on, and looking around his house, and he's got this ship in a bottle. We play cribbage all the time, and just all the stuff we do around the house. And I was like, oh, he's got little trophies. These are neat. What are these trophies? Oh, this is when him and Maggie went out to Colorado and was in a competition for the 75-plus league. And I think Maggie got silver and Bill got bronze. And I'm like, he's 83. What on earth? How is he doing this? And I think through all the years, he was really an inspiration in a lot of ways. Because I would tell people, like, you know, he's in his 70s, he's windsurfing, and people are like, what are you talking about? I remember, I think it was when he was 90, he came out for my birthday, and we went golfing. I forget the name of the place, but Salmon Falls. And we went golfing on my birthday. He was 90, and he didn't beat us, but he was close. And I'm like, how is he golfing? We would go bowling all the time. I'm like, how is he bowling? He got to 100. I was like, he's still walking around. He doesn't want the cane. We try to get him to get walking aids, and he's just like, no, like, screw this, I don't want it. Not wanting to give up driving. that was a push because he liked that independence. He liked to do his own thing, and I was just like, my granddad's 90 and he's on the road driving his pickup truck. He got to 100. I'm like, holy cow. He's still walking around. Like, I know people who have no wherewithal at all when they get to like 15 years before that. And he had a full head of hair at 100. So I'm excited about that too. But I think growing up and learning about how active he was and how out there, and that he was volunteering all the time, and he was still bowling and golfing and windsurfing, which I still don't think I can do, was all very inspirational and very motivating, and very much something that I look forward and I say, like, I'm 37 now. Like, I should be able to do so much for the next, twice my age and then some, because my granddad did it. And if he could, then, that's an inspiration for me. So I think he was very inspirational and very impressed from a different perspective. So thank you.
I used to watch him come down the aisle because when we do our gratitude walk, everybody comes down and if they're putting something in the bowl, they do, and then there's an affirmation bowl. And so he would come down, and if something got dropped, he would go from the waist down and pick it up at 100, 101. Seriously, I would look at him and I'd say, so I'm with you, Bill. I want to be just like him when I grow up. So we have heard so many wonderful stories about Bill Taylor, and he is a legend, definitely a legend. And so I'm going to invite us now to take a quiet moment and to listen to this song that our music folks are going to sing, and reflect on the treasured memories that you hold. And as the melodies flow through that space, allow your heart to revisit the moments you shared with Bill, even if you didn't make a comment or anything. Every one of us in this room have many memories of Bill. So the laughter, the wisdom, the love, hold on to the finer threads of his remarkable journey, knowing his spirit endures.
I will remember you, the way that you smiled, your embrace, the love you gave. I will remember the space you have left will never be empty. When love never dies, love will remain, and I will remember you. I will remember you, the way that you smiled, your embrace, the love you gave. I will remember you. As we gather in this place, we come to the table, and heaven and earth are one, and we will remember you. We will remember you, the way that you smiled. just like your embrace, the love you gave, we will
Life unfolds as a continuous journey, ever progressing toward the ultimate transformation, the boundless expression of existence itself. Birth and death serve as gateways, marking the beginning and end of earthly chapters, ushering us forward in growth, wisdom, and discovery. And like all of nature, we nurture and shape our earthly vessel, the body, through the unfolding seasons of life. From the tender bloom of infancy to the flourishing of youth and the rich harvest of adulthood, we gather values, insights, and sacred experiences that shape the essence of who we are. Then comes death. But what is death, if not a transition, a passage into new dimensions, and unfolding into the greater expanse of universal life? It is the next step in creation's unfolding journey, shedding the limitations of the physical world and rising into the luminous light of understanding. Bill has now completed his earthly path. As he steps through the gates of death, he carries with him all that he has garnered. Every act of love, generosity, and kindness woven into the tapestry of his soul. So with open hearts, let us release him from our sorrow and allow his spirit to move freely into the new realm of existence. Though his physical presence is no longer among us, the love he shared remains, an eternal bond that lives on within us, always guiding, always present. Through love, we remain eternally connected, woven together in an unbreakable bond. And so we give thanks for the sacred knowing that though Bill has passed beyond our sight, his presence endures. In love, there is no separation. We are all one in its infinite embrace. In the gentle care of the universe, we release Bill and ourselves, trusting in the presence that surpasses understanding. As love holds us steadily, our hearts are filled with comfort, knowing that all is well. And I want to close with an affirmation. And I'm going to invite you to say it with me. See if we can get it up here. There we go. Are you ready? Together. This is Bill's affirmation he said every day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I feel grateful and recognize the good in my life. May I express my love again and again and again. Thank you, Spirit. And so to Bill we say, God bless you and Godspeed on your way.
So I'm going to sing, and I'm asking you to sing with me, but first I have a little statement. Gratitude comes from the Latin word gratis, which means thankful or pleasing. Grace and gratitude work together. Grace is the beautiful and love of God that is always around us. Gratitude gives us the eyes to see it. So please sing with me.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was
we have another.
There be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be. With God as the one source, united all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be